The Buddha said, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. When one sees this with insight and wisdom, one turns away from suffering and dissatisfaction in life. So from today's video, let's talk about the three signatas of life. Three signatas, or in Pali we call it Tilakkana, is one of the fundamental teachings of Buddhism. The Buddha taught us that these three signatas are the fundamental nature of everything around you and everything within you, right? Everything within you and everything around you carries these three natures of life. So what are these three natures? The first one is Anicca. The Buddha said, the life is impermanent. Everything around you, everything within you is subject to impermanence, right? So Anicca means impermanence. Then the second sign, the second signata of life is Dukkha. Dukkha can be translated into English as suffering. It is the most common translation. And also it gives the meaning of dissatisfaction of life. Okay? So the second sign, the second nature of life is that it is suffering and dissatisfaction. And the third is called Anatta. Anatta can be translated into English as not self, right? So these are the three signs of everything around you and everything within you. So how can we understand this teaching of the Buddha? So first we'll take a look at Anicca. What do you mean by Anicca? The translation is impermanence. How can we understand impermanence? So there are these levels of Anicca or levels of impermanence that we can understand. Okay, the first is the most peripheral and the most superficial impermanence of life, right? That everyone can understand. For an example, like seasons change, right? It is an impermanence. And sometimes these rivers, they dry up, right? It is an impermanence. These buildings collapse, right? It is an impermanence. Your car breaks down, your laptop doesn't stop working. This is more peripheral and more superficial, and everyone can understand this kind of impermanence in life. And there is this second level of impermanence that is more subjective to you, right? Your body starts aging, okay? Your body is under constant change, right? It is aging. That is an impermanence. And then your body is subject to illness or sickness, right? All of a sudden you fall ill. One time you was healthy and you become ill. That is also an impermanence. And then sometimes people change, their mindsets change, their personalities change. This is something that is more subjective to you. It is very closer to your life, right? And there is this more subtler and very subtle way of impermanence that lies beneath within all of our lives. For an example, who you are, okay, what you call yourself is a bunch of experiences, right? You perceive this world and you connect to this world, you get connected to this world through these perceptions, right? These experiences, you see the things from your eyes, you listen to things from your ears, you smell things, you taste things, you feel things to your body, you think from your mind. So all these experiences are under constant change. Just take a look at your life, right? Now, if I ask from you, what happened to all the words that you heard from this video, in the beginning of this video? What happened to them now? They have been changed now. They have become impermanent. So in life, all these experiences, right? And all these perceptions how we perceive this world, all these experience that we get connected with this world are under constant change. They have this transient nature. Okay, so that is the very subtler and the most deepest impermanence in life, right? So what happens, how this becomes impermanent? The Buddha said why this becomes impermanence is because everything is conditioned. Everything arises due to conditions. For an example, when we see things, right, there should be certain conditions to see for us, for our vision, right? When we hear things, there are certain conditions that occur within us, right? For example, if someone blamed us, okay, in a faraway place, from a faraway place, let's say in another country, someone is blaming us, right? Do we get angry? We don't get angry, right? Because we didn't hear it. Now, when we hear this, okay, as soon as we hear this, now we become angry. So there are certain conditions that they need to come together for our perceptions and for our experiences in this world. So the nature of these conditions is that they are also under constant change. Okay, when the conditions change, our experiences change. That means who you are is under constant change, which we call anicca. Okay, so that is the way that we can understand the impermanence. Now, to understand this subtler impermanence, okay, this deepest impermanence, everyone cannot understand this. This need the meditational development, a developed mind, well-disciplined mind to do that. That is why we practice this insight meditation. Okay, so this is the anicca that Buddha talked about. Okay, this is the impermanent. That is the first sign of life, that everything around you, everything within you is under constant change. That is the first thing. Now, if I ask from you, if someone expect the permanence from these impermanent things, right? If someone expect things to be permanent, experiences to be permanent, when the very nature of everything is impermanent, what happens to that person? Would that person get what they expect, what he expect? No, right? And what happens to you when you don't get what you expect? You're dissatisfied, right? And you suffer. And that is what you call the second signata of life, the second nature of life. That is, life is subject to suffering. Life is consists of dissatisfaction, okay? Because we expect things to be permanent, our experiences to be permanent, when the very nature of everything, every experience within us is impermanent, okay? I heard this wonderful quote from a famous monk. He said, impermanence doesn't make us suffer. What makes us suffer is wanting things to be permanent when the very nature of things are impermanent. Okay, so the second signata of life is the dukkha, the dissatisfaction. Why dukkha? Because things are impermanent and we expect things to be permanent, right? Letting go of these expectations to be permanent is what you call the realization, the liberation, right? Expecting things to be permanent when the things are impermanent is called the ignorance in life. Okay, so the second signata is that life is unsatisfactory, right? Everything around you cannot satisfy you to the fullest extent, right? For an example, we love every experience to be permanent, and we think that every experience is permanent. For an example, let's say when you have a happy feeling, okay, let's say you have a happy and a pleasurable feeling. What you expect what you expect from that experience? We expect, okay, I wish this experience will last forever with me. It will stay with me forever. But it isn't, right? How many happy experiences have you gone through? And now they're gone. They cease to exist. That is the nature of life. Okay. Let's say we are going through a difficult experience, painful experience. Or we think, okay, this pain will last forever. I will have to suffer forever. But the very nature of life is that it is also under constant change. Okay. So this is what we need to understand. Okay. So the second signata of life is called dukkha. And what is the third signata? The third sign of life, which is called anatta. Anatta is, in English, we call it not self, right? The Buddha said, if something is impermanent, okay, if something is, if the life itself, if the life around you, if the life within you is under constant change, can you expect any unchangeable and permanent self even within you? No. Okay. So anatta means no permanent self, right? Even our consciousness changes according to our perceptions. That is the nature of life. So even if even the consciousness change, right? If even the consciousness conditioned, right? Then we can't expect any self to be permanent. Okay. This is called anatta. Okay. The not self nature of life. The perfect example for life is the flame. For an example, let's say we light up a candle and you can see a flame, right? Now, you can point out and show the flame, and we see the flame as an object. It appears to be like an object. But if you take a closer look at this flame, the nature of flame is that it is not one permanent thing, one unchanging thing. It is under constant change. It is a process, right? It is the process of combustion, right? If it wasn't, the flame always depend on the conditions. When the conditions are there, the flame exists. When the conditions are not there, the flame ceases to exist. For an example, let's say can you remove the flame from the candle? You can't. Why? Because the flame entirely depends on that condition, the wick, the wax, the heat and everything. Okay. So our life is always a collection of conditions. Okay. When the conditions are there, the experiences arise. When the conditions become impermanent, the experiences change. This is the very nature of life. So these are the three signatas of everything around you. Look around you, right? Everything, that objects, things, people, right? Your experiences, your body, everything has this very nature. So the Buddha said, if someone understood with developed wisdom, right? If someone understood this very nature of life, he turns away from suffering because he doesn't expect things to be permanent, because he knows that everything around him and everything within him is impermanent. So I hope you got some light about these three signatas of life. So I wish you, may you be healthy and may you be happy and may you be able to realize these three signatas of life in this life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Good evening, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to another video. From today's video, let's discuss about how can we deal with anxiety and what to do when our mind becomes anxious, right? We all know that how it is painful when our mind becomes anxious and when we become afraid of the things that will happen in the future, or when the mind creates all these scenarios in our head about the things that will happen in the future, right? So how can we deal with this state of mind? There are a few things that we can do, right? But most of the time, when we become anxious, what happens is we become panicked and we take decisions that may not be the correct decision to take. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing with you few things and few advices that I have given and that helped me a lot personally to deal with this anxiety. So the first thing that you have to do is, first, you have to be aware of your mental state, right? If you're anxious, if you're afraid of something, the first thing is to be aware of it and to accept it, right? Most of the time, we pretend not to be anxious. We pretend not to be fearful about the future, and we try to reject that state of our mind. The more we reject, the more it persists in our mind. So that is why the first step is to acknowledge and accept your current state of your mind. If you're anxious, Just say to yourself, okay, now my thoughts are in anxiety mode, right? My thoughts are anxious. I am fearing about certain things. Acceptance will help you to catch the thought and to be more aware of it. And also, when you accept it, it creates less pain, right? Acceptance is the first step of healing. So, the first step is to accept your current mental state. And the second step is, this is amazing. Once you understand the current state of your mind, what you have to do, the biggest advice that I have given about anxiety is do one thing at a time, right? Take one action at a time, right? We all know that when we have lot to do, right? When we have many jobs to do, what happens? We start thinking about everything, right? We started loading these thoughts into our mind every time, and we try to do all at once. But in reality, we can't do all at once, right? One thing that we can do is we can take one job, one action at a time, and do that, right? So, how to do this? First of all, to clarify your thoughts and to be clear about what you have to do and what you can do and cannot do, first, sit down in a quiet place, take a piece of paper and write down all the things that you are fearing about, and write down all the things about the current situation that you are in. And also, most importantly, you have to write down the things that are in your control and things that are out of your control. When you clarify these things, you can take actions upon the things that are under your control. So, one thing that you can do is sit down, write down all the thoughts, write down current situation of your life, and write down all the things that are under your control and not under your control, so that you're very clear about what to do and what not to do, right? So when you clarify that and take one action, just one action, and what you have to do, just execute that action, right? Don't try to do all the things, just pick one action and do it at one. It's something like this, right? Something like you're grabbing a bunch of oranges, right? What will happen if you try to grab a bunch of oranges at once? You can't grab all of them, right? It will fall, they will fall. So, one thing that you can do is pick a basket, take one orange at a time, and put it into the basket. In that way, you can grab many oranges. In the same way, when you clarify your thoughts and take one action at a time and execute it, then it will be clear in your mind and it will ease up your mental state. So, do one thing at a time. And the third step is to do it slowly and deliberately, right? Even when you become clarified about what to do, don't be anxious, don't be panicked. What do you have to do? Do it slowly, right? One thing that a lot of meditation masters teach is that when you're anxious, do something slowly, right? Slow down. When your body becomes slow down, your minds become slow down. That's the connection between the body and our mind. When our mind is slow, our body is slow. When our body is slow, our mind is slow. So do things, take that action and do it slowly and deliberately. Do it with proper consciousness, proper awareness, and proper mindfulness. That's so that you feel what you're doing. Then you understand what you're doing, right? So in that way, you can ease up this anxiety. And the last thing that you have to do is do it completely, right? Complete the action. When we are anxious about certain things, what we do, we don't complete that action, right? We just hang over that problem or that task, and we don't complete it, right? One thing that you have to do is do it completely, right? Complete your action, do it slowly, deliberately, and finally complete that action so that that step is finished, right? And then once you complete that action, what do you have to do? Take the next step and do it slowly, deliberately, and completely. In that way, you can clarify what you have to do, and also you will get a good time to take good decisions. So this is a little way and a tiny practice that you can add to your life to ease up your pain of anxiety. And whenever you're anxious about certain things, try this and it will ease up your pain of anxiety. So keep this little advice in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Today it is raining and it is quite misty out here, and it is very peaceful. It is about rain. I have read this somewhere else. I cannot remember the quote. It says, rain feeds two types of people. Okay, rain is the food for two types of people. The first one is the meditator, and the second one is the lazy person. Okay, for a meditator, for a person who likes to meditate, rain is the best food and it is the best environment. Okay, and also for the lazy person, it is the best environment for him as well. Okay, so let's talk about the meditation today a little bit. So what about the vipassana? How to practice it? Now, vipassana gives the meaning, the word gives the meaning that to see something clearly, to see something as it is. Okay, this practice was introduced by the Buddha himself. Okay, so how can we practice it? There's one verse that Buddha explains about the vipassana. It is very nice. And the Buddha says, Atitang nanva gameya napati kanke anagatang. That means, do not run into past and do not hope for the future. Yadatitang pahinatang apatang cha anagatang. What is past, it is gone. And what is future hasn't yet come. Okay? And then the Buddha said, Pachupannanchayo dhammang tattha tattha vipassati. Everything that occurs in this present moment are conditioned. Everything that we experience and we sense in this world are conditioned, that they arise due to conditions. Pachupannanchayo dhammang tattha tattha vipassati. You have to wisely reflect on all those things, all those sensations that occurs in this present moments, and wisely. Okay, that is about the vipassana. Vipassana is all about bringing your mind into this present moment and become the observer in it. Now, normally we react to everything that we sense. Okay, there are lots of sensations coming from this outer world, and what happens with us is we react to them always. Okay, either it is with the consciousness, we consciously react to something, and also sometimes unconsciously we react to certain things. Okay, so the Buddha said, be mindful about those sensations and do not react. Instead of reacting, try to observe it. Do not judge the thoughts, do not judge the feelings, be the observer. Okay, for an example, let's say you got blamed by someone. Okay, and you come home with this mind inside you, all those words inside you, all those insults inside you, and you come home and you sit on the bed, maybe lie down on the bed and look at the ceiling, and you start to worry. Okay, but the reality, let's take the reality of this situation. Okay, now let's say someone is insulting you. When someone insults you, you hear that sound in that moment, in the present moment. As soon as that person finished insulting you, everything that he has spoken is gone. Isn't that true? What you heard, what you heard is gone. Now, what I have spoken before in the beginning of this video is gone now. It's finished. Okay, it has vanished. But deep in our mind, we recreate all those sensations, we recreate all those emotions and feelings and all those words in our mind, and we start to worry about it. Sometimes we start to be happy about certain things. If that makes you happy, we start to be happy about it. Isn't that true? That is the thing. So what Buddha said is, be mindful about it. Just observe it. Do not try to react to your thoughts. Okay. When the happiness comes in, we don't try to suppress our thoughts, and also we don't try to express our thoughts. What we can do is we can be in the middle and we can observe the thoughts. Okay. When happiness comes in, we let that comes in. We let that come in and we become the observer. Do not react. Not reacting. Just see it arise and see it pass away. Okay, it is something that you watch a traffic by the side of the road. You sit down the side of the road and you watch the traffic. You watch the vehicles pass by. You don't try to stop the vehicles. You don't try to run behind the vehicles. We just try to observe it. We just try to notice it. And we see these vehicles come into our field of vision and it goes away. And you start to realize that every sensation, when you observe your feelings, when you observe all the sensations that happens within you, you start to feel that nothing stays forever. It is impermanent. It has the nature of arising and it has the nature of passing away. Every sensation, everything that we feel in, and everything that we feel in our world is impermanent. So that is what about the vipassana. When you practice that, you can go into a silent place, maybe sit down on a chair, maybe sit down on the floor and close your eyes, and slowly you can observe what comes into your mind. Okay, and be the observer. Do not try to react with them. Okay, when you see happiness come in, you see that happiness come in and you observe it, and it goes away. When you see that sad thoughts come in, you feel that and you observe it and you let it go. That is how you become mindful. And when you practice vipassana, when you do that, you start to realize that one thing in every aspect and every sensation in your life, and that is impermanence. Once you realize this nature of impermanence, that is what you call the realization of truth. Okay, so keep that in your mind and practice it. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. It is quite easy to be patient and to be calm when the life goes smoothly. But where our real patience comes into test is in the middle of adversity. I know it is very difficult to practice patience for all of us. It is easier to say to be patient. It is easier to advise to be patient, but it is easy to, and also it is easy to talk about patience, but to practice this quality, it is really, really challenges for every one of us. So although it is difficult, although it is challenging, we have to practice this amazing quality that brings the happiness and the calmness and peace to our life. So let's talk about how to practice patience according to Buddha's teachings. So in Buddhism, patience is considered as the greatest virtue. In Dhammapada, verse number 184, the Buddha says, patience is the highest virtue. The Buddhas say that Nibbana is supreme, and the one who harms others is not a monk, and one who destroys others is not a monk. So in Buddhism, a bigger space and a bigger value is given to the patience, and to practice the patience as the practice of patience as an inner quality. Not just to talk about it, not just to read about it or to learn about it, but the real practice. So in Buddhism, the greatest quality in Buddhism, the greatest virtue is considered as the patience also. So what exactly is patience? The Buddha describes this as follows. And what's the patience practice? It is when a bhikkhu endures cold, heat, hunger, and thirst. They endure the touch of flies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and reptiles. They endure rude and unwelcome criticism. And they put up with physical pain, sharp, severe, acute, and unpleasant, disagreeable, and life-threatening. This is called the patience practice. In another sutta, the Buddha explains about the patience as follows. What is the patient practice? It is when someone abuses, annoys, or argues with you, and you don't abuse, annoy, or argue back at them. This is called the patience practice. So being able to put up with ups and downs and challenging situations and disagreeable experiences in life is called patience. But to be honest, it is really difficult to be patient. Yes, it is difficult. It is going to be difficult, and it will be always difficult. It will never be easy, because that's the nature of all good practices in life. The Buddha said, what brings the happiness to your life? To practice such qualities is the most difficult thing that you have to do in your life. But although it is difficult, we all have to practice this amazing quality of being patient. Now, in Buddhism, being silent, tolerating, and enduring everything out of fear does not mean the real patience. In Buddhism, the real patience comes with a deeper meaning of life. When someone has a deeper meaning of his life, and when someone has knows the true nature of life, then it's very easy for that person to be patient and to practice the amazing quality of patience. Normally, when we tolerate and when we become silent, the reason why we become silent is because of the fear. Sometimes we have no choice to do anything, right? In that case, we become silent. But the Buddha says that that is not the true patience. Someone can see such kind of a person and say, oh, he is patient. But that's not the true patient, because that person doesn't have the power. That person doesn't have the authority to do something, right? So being patient out of fear is not the true patience. The Buddha says about the real patience like this. In Vepachiti Sutta, it is mentioned, when a person endowed with strength patiently endures a weakling, they call that the supreme patience. The weakling must be patient always. So the real patience comes when you understand that there is the beast inside you. What is that beast? The anger. And if you're afraid of that anger, and if you're afraid of that beast to control your life, and if you can be patient in that situation by controlling your emotions and controlling your thoughts and controlling your anger and deciding to not to harm that person, that is called the true patience and the real patience. To practice such kind of a patience, you have to do a great dedication. Sometimes you have to go through a lot of hardships. You have to endure a lot. But still, why you become patient? Because you believe that being patient is the greatest virtue that you can practice in life. And you believe that you are much more better than them, and you have a better qualities than them. If you believe in that, you can truly be patient. To practice patience, the Buddha offers us a path of thinking in a more deeper level of understanding through our life. So suppose a person comes to you and treat you with rude words, right? Or treat you with their meanness. How can you avoid that situation without even worrying? How to do that? So the Buddha teaches us to look at this situation through the 3 marks of existence. So what are 3 marks of existence? So the Buddha says the 3 marks of existence are Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. Impermanence, suffering, and non-self. So Anicca. Anicca is the understanding about the impermanence. So the Buddha said that everything in life is subjected to change. If you look at our life, there is nothing that we can hold on to and think and find that is not subjected to change. So once you understanding this intrinsic nature or the inherent nature of impermanence, it's very easy to let go of that anger and to be patient. Because let's say someone blamed you or someone treated you with rude words, okay? Right at the moment that you heard that voice, those words, they became impermanent, right? But here's the problem. Why does we hear the same thing again and again, what they said in our mind, and we keep creating that chain of thought, and we keep creating that anger in our mind? Because the mind has the nature to recreate everything that we heard or what we experienced. Okay, so we think that they abused me, they hurt me, and they treated me with these rude words, so I should not be treated like this. But in reality, those words had been impermanent now. They have been vanished. For an example, the words that you heard from me before, now everything has been vanished. They don't exist. That's the reality of life. But once you're understanding this true and intrinsic nature of impermanence, it's very easy to let go of the anger because you don't find anything to hold on to now. What is the word that we have to hold on to now in this moment to be angry? No, it has gone. So once you understand this true nature of impermanence, it's very easy to practice patience. And the second thing that we have to understand is dukkha. Dukkha often refers to as suffering. So the Buddha said that the pain and suffering is a part of our life. So you cannot remove that. We have to face that situation, okay? Because that is the nature of living. The nature of life is it is always connected or characterized by the pain or suffering. This is not to worry about the pain or the suffering, but to see it as a part of life and accept it, learn to be with it, learn to deal with it. That is how we can understand the suffering. And the final thing that we have to realize and understanding is the nature of anatta. The nature of anatta is the nature of not self or non-self, right? The Buddha says that there are things in your life that are out of your control. Not every time you're going to have everything according to your wishes. Okay, there are things that are out of our range of control. Once we understand this true nature of anatta or non-self, it is really easy to accept the truth in life. And it is very easy to not to worry about the things that we cannot control. So if you look at the life, if you look at the situations in your life, in these three marks of existence, the Buddha said that it is really easy to practice the patience. It is really easy to love people, to give your kindness to people, because we know that we are not going to last forever, and we know that they are not going to last forever. What they did was not going to last forever. What they said was not going to last forever. So we can let go of the anger and we can move on. So these are the few things and few realizations that will help us to practice the patience in your life. So keep this in your mind and be patient. Namo Buddhaya. Buddha considered the gratitude and the gratefulness as the mother of all the good qualities. In Mahamangala Sutta, the Buddha says, having a grateful mind is a blessing for your life. Okay, so how can we practice this gratitude? And what is the meaning of gratitude? Now, the word that is given to gratitude, given for the gratitude in Buddhism is called katanyuta. Katanyuta means the ability to remember what one have done to you. That means the helps that have done to you. If you can remember the people and the helps that you have given, okay, people have done to you, then that is called the gratitude. So how can we practice this? Well, you can be grateful and you can be thankful for almost everything in your life. Let's say you take your food plate to your hand. You can practice gratitude in there. How? You can be grateful for the people who made that food. Maybe your wife, maybe your husband, maybe someone who helped you. Okay? So you can be grateful for them. You can say that, thank you. Okay, genuinely you can say that, thank you. I'm grateful for you. Okay? Because of you people, I live happily and I live in comfort in my life. In every morning, okay, in every morning, take a little time to practice this gratitude in your life. Okay, wake up in the morning and say that I am thankful for my life. Okay, I am thankful for the people who lived around me, who helped me, okay, who was there with me in my life in the hardest times. And also in the same time, we can be happy about the tough times and bad people in our life too. Okay, so many people don't think about this because we become grateful for the only for the good people and the good situations in our life. No, we can be grateful for the bad people and difficult situations in our life. How can we do that? Well, because of the bad people and because of the bad situations and tough situations in our life became so much interesting, right? Imagine if your life became all the things, like you got all the things you wanted, okay? And there were all the people who were good and nice to you, okay? You didn't face any tough situations in your life. There's nothing more interesting, nothing much interesting about your life. But because of the bad people and because of the tough situations and the bad days in our life became so much interesting, no? Because there's a story for us to tell. Okay, there is an interesting story for us to tell. That is why the more we face tough situations, our life becomes so much interesting. So we can be thankful for the bad people and say, like, thank you for giving me tough times. Thank you for giving me the ability to practice the patience and love and kindness and compassion for you because of you people. In that way, you can be, you see, if you think about it, you can be grateful for every situation and everything in your life. So every single day when you wake up in the morning, take a little moment to say thank you for everything and every person in your life. So keep that in your mind and practice this wonderful quality of gratitude. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I will be answering a question from comments. So one of our viewers have asked from us that he has mentioned, my exams are near, especially final exams. I am totally stressed and I'm tensed. So I feel like not doing anything. Please help me. And the question ended with a sad emoji mark. So I'm extremely passionate about answering these kinds of questions. So in this video, I will be sharing with you some tips and things that you can practice in your daily life to overcome this exam stress and also the stress in any kind of challenges. Okay? So here's the thing. First of all, you have to remember that not only exams makes us fear or stressed. Almost all the challenges that we face in our life, when we face them, we feel stressed and we feel depressed. Okay? We feel the fear. So fear and the stress and this that feeling, that the tense feeling that is inside your mind is a common human reaction. That means you are not alone in this world. Everyone, including myself, and everyone feels this. Okay, everyone feels that. So you're not alone. So the first thing that you have to understand is what is in your control and what is not. Okay, so let me ask you a question from you. Is the questions that you face in the exam paper, the questions that you get in the exam paper, is it under your control? No, they're not. Okay, you don't know what you're going to face, but one thing that you know is you will be getting one of the questions from the things that you have been taught. Okay, that is for sure, you will get that. So the questions that we get is totally not under our control. how the examiners make the question is not under your control. So if something is not under your control, is it worth worrying about? If you have no anything to do about that, right? If you cannot do anything to change it, no, you don't want to worry about that, because why we should worry about the things that we cannot control or we cannot change? So that is the thing. The exam questions are not under your control. Understand it, first of all. And the next step, what is in your control? Exactly the process, getting ready for the exam, studying, and the amount of hours that you study, and the techniques that you use to study, okay? And how productive you become is totally under your control, okay? So you can do something about that. So if you can change something, if you can do something about that, should you worry about that? You don't want to worry about that because it is totally under your control, okay? That is one thing. And the next thing that you have to do is to try to be in this present moment. Because in the times of exams, we are so focused on maybe like in the future or to the past. Sometimes if we haven't done anything, like if we haven't studied, what happens with us is we constantly regret about the things that you have done in past, okay? And if you're stressed about the exams, what will be happen in the exam, then you are constantly regretting or thinking about the future. We hardly stay in this present moment. So what we can do is we can train our mind to stay in this present moment, because you only own this moment, not the past, not the future, but the present, okay? So do some meditations, do some mindful exercises to be present, to stay in this moment and make a good choice to study, to make a change in your life. That is one thing that you can do. And the another thing that you can do is to get used to this thinking of impermanence, thinking about impermanence, okay? In Buddhism, it gives a huge space to talk about and think about and reflect about the impermanence, okay? Whatever feeling that you feel now, maybe stress, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe happiness, whatever the feeling that you feel, let it be good or bad, it is impermanent. It is going to change. So for sure, your exam stress, right, how you feel about exam is also going to change over the time. So you don't want to worry about that, okay? That is one thing that you can do to focus your mind on impermanence. And the other thing that you can do is to be the best that you can be. Not to be the best in the class, maybe in the school, or maybe in this university, not to be the best, but to be the best version of yourself, okay? If you try to be the best version of yourself, you try your best to do it. You give your best to do it. You give your fullest potential to do it, okay? So there's another problem that comes in here, okay? Our parents have lots of expectations about us. Even that makes us a little bit stressed. So what we can do? This is one thing that I give as an advice for all the students if they have those kinds of problems. You have to maintain a good communication with your parents, okay? Go to your parents and say, Amma or Tata or Mama or Dada, maybe I cannot be the best in the school. Maybe I cannot take the fullest marks in the exam. Maybe I cannot be the best in the university or somewhere else, but I will try my best in the exam. I will give my fullest potential to study and to be good at exams, okay? So when you do that, your parents will understand about you, okay? That is one thing that you can do. And finally, this is one thing that you have to do and you must do during these exam times. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Sometimes some children, they try harder by not sleeping and spending sleepless nights and not having proper healthy foods and not having proper nutrition while they're studying. That will not help you to be productive. Okay, so you must study as well as you must maintain a good health, because that will help you to maintain a good mental balance. Okay, so be kind to yourself. Okay, if mistakes can happen from anyone, okay, you can make mistakes in your life, okay, but you have to forgive yourself. And also you have to remember that exams are not the life. There are so many things that you can do and you have to do beyond the exams. And this is not the only challenge that you are going to face in your life. Okay? So keep these tips in your mind and practice these things. And then face the exam. So I hope you will get some light on this topic. So I wish all the best and all the very best in your exams. Be more productive and live your life happily. Namo Buddhaya. When life hits you hard and when you are in that dark place, sometimes we make excuses saying that this is my destiny, this is my fate, and this is my bad luck, and this is my karma. Well, what if I told you not everything that happens in your life is your bad luck? It is not always according to your destiny or fate. There are certain things that we can do to change our destiny and fate. Okay, so let's discuss about it in this video. Now, some of you have been asked in the comment section that is everything that happens in life is predetermined or due to karma? Okay, so I'm going to give you the answer for this question. Before giving the answer to this question, let's look at how Buddha taught about this perspective. The Buddha says, those who hold on to the idea of everything that happens, every experience that happens in our life is predetermined, whether it is good, bad, or neutral, that every feeling, every experience in life is predetermined or is due to bad karma or karma that is in the past, that perspective, that weave leads to inactivity. Or that weave make that person a lazy person. So the Buddha says, just because this is your bad luck or destiny or karma, you should give up trying. The Buddha never says like that. The Buddha says, always try something to make your life a better one. Okay? The Buddha says, there are certain things that can be done to change our destiny. Okay? Now, so many of you believe that destiny cannot be changed. Well, it's wrong. Destiny can be changed according to the choices that we make right here, right now. So that is why it is very important to remember that not everything that is happening in our life, whether it is good or bad or neutral, is always due to bad karma. Okay? There are certain phenomena and there are certain things and processes that happens in our life out of this concept of destiny. Okay? Let's say you're trying to go to work and you're getting ready to go to work, and all of a sudden there will be a huge rain. Okay? Now, that rain is due to bad karma? No. That is a phenomena, and that is a process that happens in this environment. Well, rather than complaining about this bad karma, rather than complaining about our destiny, why can't we choose to do something about it? Why can't we try to change the situation? If we can change the situation, then definitely we can do it. That is why there's a great saying that says, if you have a problem in your life, okay, if you can do something about that problem to change that problem or make it a better one, okay, come out of that problem, then you should not worry about it, because certainly you can do something about it.
Okay, and there are certain problems that appears in your mind and in your life that you cannot do anything about it. Well, if you cannot do anything about it, we should not worry about it. Okay, so that is why always remember, karma is a bigger part in our life. It plays a bigger role in our life, but we can change certain things. Okay, we can change our destiny by choosing to make correct choices in this present moment. So that is why what I have to share in this video today. Never ever believe that your destiny cannot be changed. You can choose to do it by making correct choices. Work hard and do not ever give up in your life. Namo Buddhaya.
When a mother loves her only child, she loves that child unconditionally, without any exceptions, without any expectations. Same like that, you have to spread the same kindness, same love, and same compassion towards all living beings in this world, without any exceptions, without any reservations. So the way to do that is you have to generate a mind of thinking like, may my enemies be well and happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life. May my friends be happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life. May everyone in this world, without any exception, without any bound, may all living beings in this world be well and happy. May they live long. May they live happily. So when you spread that mind of love and kindness, that is called the purest form of love and kindness in this world. All the other loves and kindnesses are based on conditions, based on expectations. It's saying like, if you're loving me only, I'm going to love you. But in true love and in pure love, it's not like that. He's saying, or he or she is saying, that I need everyone to be happy. I need everyone to be happy in their lives without any expectations. That is the purest form of love. So you have to have a great practice and great dedication, right? And you have to have a great mindset to practice this purest form of love. But you can achieve this by practicing it little by little, step by step, and applying this love and kindness to your practical life. So practice this love and kindness practice as a daily basis. Maybe like whenever you get up in the morning, just sit on the bed, just close your eyes, take a deep breath in, let it out, and think, may everyone in this world be well and happy. May my enemies be well and happy. I am forgiving them. Today, I choose to forgive them. That is how you practice this little step of pure love and pure kindness. So practice it and feel it, that you are feeling the peacefulness inside. So make your life much more better with love and kindness. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Do you know how can we stop a war? Now, as there are a lot of wars going on this earth today, people get killed, people get abused, people get murdered, a lot of chaos happening on this earth. How can we stop a war? There is only one way to stop a war, and that is to forgive and letting go. Okay? There's no any other way. So many people try to stop a war, sometimes stop the problems and the anger, remove the anger by the anger. There's a nice verse and a wonderful verse that was taught by the Buddha. The Buddha said, Nahi vere na verani, sammanti the kudachana. The anger is never appeased by anger. You cannot stop anger through anger. Avere na cha sammanti, esa dhammo sanattano. If you need to stop anger, if you need to stop hatred, if you need to stop a war, you need to stop the anger. you need to forgive, and you need to let go. You know, the anger and the hate works like a cycle. Now, let's say one country is trying to dominate over another country. Okay, one country is trying to attack another country. What will happen? People in this country, they go to this country and they kill people, they attack people, they abuse people. And once they do that, what will happen? The hate and the anger builds in this community. Okay, so how they can remove their anger, how they try to take the revenge, they get into a group where they can revenge. So what they do is they get into an army, maybe a group of people who try to invade the other country, and they join to that army to take the revenge, and they go to this country and they kill these people in here, and they get killed, they get abused. Okay, and what happens? Then the hate is building up in this world, this country, this community. And what happens after that? These people who left behind, they get into a group of people who try to invade this country again, and they try to invade this country again, try to kill these people again. So this works like a cycle, and you will never be able to get out from that cycle if you did not choose to forgive. Okay, people think that you can end a war through a war, but it is not working in that way. You may be suppressing a war. Okay, you may be suppressing a country. Okay, you can keep a country under control and suppress those people for a little bit of time, maybe 10 years or 15 years. After 10 or 15 years, again, people who needs to take revenge, people who had that inner hate within them, they will come and they will attack the other country too. Okay, look at the history. Just study his history. Not a single country has ever been benefited through war. Okay, that is why there's a saying like this: you can build the destructed buildings. When it comes to wars, buildings are being destroyed. You can build them, you can rebuild them. Okay, you can build the friendship between two nations after some times. You know, the people who became angry will be friends again. But there's one thing that you cannot do, and that is you cannot give life to the dead people who died from the war again. You will never be able to give the life back to them. Okay, that is why war is not a good thing for any country. War is not a good thing for this humanity. Okay, somehow, if we need to stop the war, we need to forgive, we need to let go, even though it is difficult, even though it is hard. I know forgiving is not easy. It is really, really difficult. But if we need to stop the war, if we need to stop the anger, and if we need everyone to be happy, we have to let go. So remember, you will never be able to remove hate or remove anger through anger. By non-anger itself, you can remove the anger and you can be happy. Keep that in your mind. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to today's video. Today, in this video, I'm going to discuss about a simple question that most of the people ask from Buddhist monks. And the question is very simple. It is, what is Buddhism? It seems to be a simple question, but it is very complicated when you're trying to give an answer for this question. So let's try to find an answer for this question today. So many people ask that, is Buddhism a religion? Or is it a philosophy? Or is it a way of life? Now, first of all, what is your opinion about this? Is it a religion? Do you feel it is like a religion? Do you feel it is like a philosophy? Or it is like more like a way of life? What do you think about it? Well, this is the thing. If I can give a simple answer for Buddhism, what Buddhism is, this is the answer. Buddhism is a profound teaching and a deep teaching that it is very difficult to put it into one basket, one category, saying this is a religion, this is a philosophy, this is a way of life. Why? Because let's say when you visit a Buddhist temple, if you had the chance to visit the Buddhist temple, you will see Buddha statues. People come and worship to the Buddha statues. They offer flowers and they offer so many offerings to the Buddha statues, and they worship and they do all sort of things. When you see that, you may start to think, oh, this is a religion. Okay? In the same time, if you dive into the Buddhist teachings, core Buddhist teachings, and if you read some suttas, what will happen? You will come to an understanding that these teachings, what the Buddha has taught, is so profound and it is more philosophical. It dives into the deep topics in life, like existence and life and impermanence, a lot of things like that. Okay? Then you may start to think, well, Buddhism is more philosophical. And in the other way, if you try to practice Buddhism, right? If you try to practice Buddhism by practicing virtues and practicing meditation, it becomes more of a way of life. Okay? So what exactly is Buddhism? How can we understand? Well, the one answer that I can give when you sum up all the Buddhist teachings, okay, the one answer that I can give is Buddhism is all about Four Noble Truths. The Buddha said, Dukkha is the first noble truth. Life is based upon unsatisfactoriness. Okay? Then the Samudaya is the second noble truth, and that is the unsatisfactoriness is based on, it origins because of the craving and the desires in our life. Okay? And the third is the Nirodha. If you let go of the craving and the desires in your life, you will end up the unsatisfactoriness. And finally, the fourth noble truth is the Magga, the path that leads to letting go of this unsatisfactoriness. Okay? Removing that unsatisfactoriness. And that is the Noble Eightfold Path. So this Four Noble Truth is all about Buddha's teachings. Okay? But when you see the Buddhist traditions and Buddhist rituals, you will see people are worshipping. Then it has a part of religion. Okay? People worship, but it is not in the way of a religion that people think it is a religion. Because the definition of the word religion is constant worshipping and believing into a supernatural and superhuman being or a god. In that sense, Buddhism is not a religion. It has more philosophical aspects, but it is not just a study of these concepts. You cannot just stop from studying about the impermanence and the existence and everything just as a study. You have to dive into these studies and you have to practice it. It runs beyond the studying. It goes to the practice, and you have to realize by yourself, through yourself, what the reality is. That is what Buddhism is. Okay? So if I said that what Buddhism is, the Buddhism is all about the Four Noble Truths. So that is the answer that I can give to a person who is asking this question, what is Buddhism? It is about the Four Noble Truths and the reality of this world. So keep this in your mind. Namo Buddhaya.